Everybody knows Rolex, everybody loves Rolex, everybody loves the Rolex Explorer, but not everybody wants to pay the price tag. In this video, we are looking at affordable alternatives to the Rolex Explorer 1 and also the Rolex Explorer 2. These affordable alternatives range from around about £500 to around about £5,000. Okay, so let's begin with the Rolex Explorer 1 and cover the affordable alternatives to that. And the first affordable alternative is it's kind of backwards because it's actually the most expensive affordable alternative. Kind of an oxymoron going on there. But this is the Longines Conquest coming in at 38mm. The Longines Conquest comes in at 38mm in diameter, 46.8mm lug to lug, 10.9mm in thickness, and is water resistant to 10 bar. It has sapphire crystal glass and a fully automatic movement, which is the caliber L888. This is self-winding or automatic and beats at 25,200 VPH and has 72 hours of power. When it comes to the original Explorer, you see simplicity above all else. It is an extremely functional watch, but to the eyes, I mean, there's not that much to it. And I think that's partially why people like it so much, because it is simple, it's stripped back. It only has one job, and that's telling the time and doing it well. And I think that the Longines Conquest kind of has a similar vibe around it. It is more muted down, it is more stripped down, it is more simplistic. And I think that it is a great alternative to the Rolex Explorer. Now, you do have various different colors to choose between, but if you want the closest match and the most simplistic match to the Rolex Explorer, I would go with the black dial. This watch comes in at £2,000. Next up, we have the Sin 556A. In my opinion, Sin is a really incredible brand that just doesn't get enough time in the limelight. And if you put this Sin model next to the Rolex Explorer 1, you'll see a load of similarities. Again, it's stripped back, it's simple, and it just screams tool watch. This model comes in at 38.5mm in diameter, comes in at 11mm in thickness, comes in full stainless steel, has sapphire crystal glass, and is water resistant to 20 bar. It has a fully self-winding movement, which is the SW200-1, and this beats at 28,800 VPH. This model comes in at around about £1,300. By the way, guys, before we move on to the next watch, if you want to buy or sell your watch, head to chisholmhunter.co.uk. That's chisholmhunter.co.uk. We're official retailers of Tudor, Omega, Blancpain, Vacheron Constantin, a ton of others. You'd be supporting the channel and supporting me, and I'd really appreciate it. Oh yeah, and you can get 10% off selected lines with the code CHSUB. That's CHSUB. The next affordable alternative to the Rolex Explorer 1 is this, the C63 Sealander Automatic from Christopher Ward. Christopher Ward are a fantastic British brand that are really making huge strides forwards in the watch industry. I would actually no longer identify them as a micro brand. I think that the volume they're doing now is actually pretty staggering. This watch comes in at 36mm in diameter, which is actually exactly the same as the Rolex Explorer 1. It also comes in at 10.75mm in height and 42.87mm lug to lug. The dial, of course, comes in black and it comes in full stainless steel. It doesn't really have a bezel, but instead has that fully polished outer circle, the same kind of vibe as what the Rolex Explorer has. And if you put these watches side by side, it's pretty wild, the similarities between these two models. I would honestly say that potentially Christopher Ward here pulled a lot of inspiration from this watch. This model has the Sellita SW200-1 automatic movement. This has 26 joules, beats at a frequency of 4 Hz, and has 38 hours of power. This watch is clean, it's clinical, and also it's so much cheaper than the Explorer 1, coming in at 840 quid. Next up, we have the Laurier Falcon, the S111, and this comes in at 36mm in diameter, 9mm in thickness, with 2mm added because of the domed crystal. It comes in at 44mm in length, or lug to lug, and has a 20mm lug width. It also comes in full stainless steel, is water resistant to 100 meters, and has a pretty beautifully textured dial. This watch comes in at 390 quid, and although it's never going to be to the same standard as the Explorer 2, to the same refined beauty and watchmaking as the Explorer 2, or 1 rather, it still looks pretty damn good for the price. Okay, so moving on to the Rolex Explorer 2, and I would argue that the Rolex Explorer 2 is the most talked about watch within the watch community in Rolex's arsenal, honestly. And I don't really know why, because technically speaking, the Submariner would be more popular, the Daytona, but everybody just loves to chat about the Explorer 2, especially the white dial. It's weird. So a really distinctive feature on the Explorer 2 is the stainless steel bezel with the 24-hour markers. And I think in an alternative, you kind of need that detail because it's such a big detail. And this first alternative, this cheap alternative, or cheaper, has this detail. This is the C63 Sealander GMT, another Christopher Ward because they seem to be doing really banging watches at the moment. And this looks awfully similar to the Explorer 2, and it still has the DNA wrapped up in it because of that stainless steel bezel and because it's a GMT watch as well. This watch comes in at 39 millimeters in diameter, 11.85 millimeters in height, 45.8 millimeters lug to lug. It comes in full stainless steel and it has a white dial. It also has the Sellita SW330-2 GMT movement. This is actually an ETA movement with 25 joules. It beats at a frequency of 28,800 VPH and has 56 hours of power. From the orange GMT hand to the stainless steel bezel, this is a very similar watch to the Explorer 2 at a fraction of the price. It comes in at £1,095. Next on the list is a fun one. It's a watch that I don't think I've spoken about before. Maybe I have. I've been doing this for so many years. I don't think I have. This is the Steinhardt Ocean 1 Vintage GMT. And it looks, as the word would suggest, quite vintage. But it also has a lot of the same DNA as, you guessed it, the Explorer 2. It has those 24-hour marks around the bezel in stainless steel. It has GMT functionality. It also has the date window at the 3 o'clock mark, which the Christopher Ward actually didn't have. It had it at the 6 o'clock mark. There's actually lots to this watch that I don't like as much, being totally honest with you guys. But you can't deny its canny resemblance to the Explorer 2. This comes in at around about £530. When it comes to Rolex and Tudor, there's obviously similarities between the two brands because Rolex is the parent company to Tudor. And I think the most similar watch to the Explorer 2 has to be the Black Bay Pro. The Black Bay Pro comes in at 39 millimeters in diameter, 14.6 millimeters in thickness. It's waterproof to 200 meters, has a 24-hour graduated fixed bezel in satin brushed steel, which of course, as I've said like 3 times, is very similar to the Rolex model. It has domed sapphire crystal, a yellow GMT hand, and it has the COSC certified caliber MT 5652, which is fully self-winding and has 70 hours of power. I think if they were to release a white dial of the Black Bay Pro, I would honestly get it instantly. It is such a sexy watch, but there's something that just isn't computing with the black dial. I don't know what it is, but I'd love to know your feedback on that. Do you guys think that they should bring out a white dial? Is the black dial not computing with you as well? What are your thoughts? The Black Bay Pro is our most expensive model on this list, coming in at £3,730. Next on the list, we have a Seiko. This is the SSK023, a Seiko 5 Sports field watch that has so many similarities to the watch in question, but for a fraction of the price. Let's cover the specs. This model comes in at 39.4 millimeters in diameter, 13.6 millimeters in thickness, and the lug to lug comes in at 47.9 millimeters. It's water resistant to 10 bar, comes in full stainless steel. It has an automatic 4R34 movement with 41 hours of power, and it of course has a GMT hand, but this time it's in more of a red color than an orange. This watch comes in at £410, and for the money, you get a hell of a lot from Seiko. And also, you don't need to wait in a waiting list. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Or follow our Instagram at Chisholm Hunter Watches, or my Instagram at HP Lifelens, or our podcast, the Into the Mind podcast. And I'll see you guys real soon.